Hey, what's going on, everybody? In this video, we're checking out NFL All Day, the Playbook Week 2. Going to talk some strategy based on Week 1 and these upcoming games for the Playbook. So excited to get into this. I haven't made a video in a while because I've been traveling, but haven't even really talked about the Playbook at all on the YouTube channel. I did a little bit on Twitter. Super excited. Playbook. It's been awesome, really cool. Kind of hope that Top Shot follows in their footsteps in the start of NBA season, because we saw a massive rise in the floor and then just all moments in general, honestly, when they announced the playbook, which has been really cool to see. So you can see Gabriel Davis here was in the Thursday night game in Week 1, and after they announced that they're going to have challenges for Thursday, Sunday night, Monday night, the whole week, and then the Sunday slate, like, a lot of these moments went crazy. So I'm going to talk some strategy for Week 2 and honestly just in the future for Playbook in this one. And Gabriel Davis, I think this went up to like $100. It's 44 now. It was, I guess, the first bottleneck for a challenge really in Playbook. So it was crazy to see that. So the first strategy, I mean, if you guys aren't buying into the hype 100% of how inflated these moments have gotten, you could see the base is essentially $8 right now for all these moments. So instead of burning these for the playbook, you could just sell these off. I mean, I bought a ton of $3, $4 moments that I've burned for the last challenge, but now that they're basically double in price or more, you could just sell them and not even do these playbook challenges. This is the first strategy, but for this video, we're talking about the playbook strategy. So you could see the playbook this week. Fairly easy one to get to 40. I mean, it's basically guaranteed you're going to get to 40 in this, and all you have to do is change your banner, which is really easy for the first 10 yards. The next 30 yards, you're going to have to buy one moment, plus you're going to have to log in every single day to get the bonus and the streak, so just make sure to do that, and you could get all the way up to 40. And from there, you just have to burn 5 moments to unlock these 2 rewards, and you're going to get at least 3 moments for burning 5 floor moments, so you have a chance to hit something. I mean, the floor is essentially 8, so it's $24. If one of those 3 moments is like $20, you definitely are going to make your money back on this. So I would recommend doing that if you're trying to hit some big moments as well, and you could always hit something pretty nice and have a pretty good chance to, honestly. So personally, I'm going to be going for the 40-yard thing and going to be burning 5 of these moments. Like I said, another strategy, if you're thinking about just going for 40 yards, the other option would to be just sell 5 moments for $8 and you're guaranteed $40 instead of burning 5 and trying to get these 3. But then you also get these trophies. They're not really anything yet, but they could have some utility moving forward as well. So then the next strategy would be to jump from 40 to 60. It's really where you get the next bonus. But for that, you're going to have to do 2 challenges because they're only 15 points each, 15 yards each. So that's kind of annoying, but that would get you to 70 as well, so you get this trophy. And then for 80, you have to do 3 challenges. And then for 100, you have to do 4 challenges to get you 60 plus that original 40, and there is 5 challenges. So you have to do 4 out of 5 to get all the way to the end. And some of these challenges were really getting expensive. So we're going to talk some strategy before. So obviously you're going to want to look at each game slate and see which players, which moments could be used in these challenges. So for the first strategy, if you're just thinking about doing 2 challenges to get up past the 60-yard mark, I would definitely try to do the end of the week challenge. It seems like it's going to be the easiest every week because it's basically taking the top players from a bunch of different categories, a bunch of different positions, and putting them all in one. And you only needed the top 5 last week, so that was pretty easy. Let's actually just go look at previous challenges. So the end of week challenge here, you needed 1 moment from the top 5 in receiving, rushing, and passing, and then any defense player that had a sack. So that was fairly easy challenge. But then you also needed the opening acts moment. So there was a wild card moment along with this. So for this, you kind of have to speculate on what you think the wild card moment would be, which made sense, I guess, opening act. But now, second week, it's kind of hard to determine that. But the rest of the challenge was really easy, and there wasn't really a big bottleneck. So I think this is probably the easiest challenge. So if you're only doing 2, I wouldn't really rush into 2 expensive ones. I might wait for that last challenge. So then the Sunday daytime challenge was actually pretty hard. You needed 1 moment from the top 5 players with the most rushing yards, and that's going to be like McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley, those type of players every week, and they're pretty expensive. And then you also needed 3 debut badges, which is really easy. There's a ton on the platform for cheap. And then if we look at some of these individual challenges for specific nights, like Thursday night, seems like it's going to be top receiving, rushing, or touchdown scores. Seem like the 3 categories for that. And then there's kind of going to be a wild card, so a defensive player that played at least 1 snap. So it seems like they kind of are going to be following that trend of either receiving, rushing, and then a touchdown kind of challenge. So I would say the first strategy, if on Thursday night it is, say, the top rushers of the night, then you might think for the Sunday night and the Monday night it could be receivers or touchdowns. So load up on wide receivers maybe because they're likely to get touchdowns, and also obviously receiving yards. So that would be the first strategy, just to see what happens on the Thursday night challenge, and then load up on players from these games. But they're getting pretty expensive. If you look at Sunday night, we have Bears, Packers, and obviously people are going to be anticipating buying those players. So if we just look at Packers and Bears, let's also just look at receivers and running backs and look at some of the cheapest ones here. So a lot of these guys on the bottom are going to be historical guys, and then guys, Damiere Byrd's not even on the Bears anymore. I think he's on the Falcons maybe. And then Montgomery, I guess, is pretty cheap here. So if you get a rushing challenge, this one could go way up for the Sunday night challenge. And then MVS is not on the Packers anymore either. Mooney fairly cheap at 25, Lazard 25, but I don't know if he's going to play. And then Herbert actually was surprisingly pretty good in his first game, so that could be another one. Aaron Jones has 2 commons, and his debut common is all the way up to 39. A.J. Dillon did pretty good, but for this, you're probably going to want to look at their rosters and look for other players that weren't on their team in Series 1. It would make more sense to me that this would be the rushing challenge, because they have A.J. Dillon, they have Montgomery, they have Herbert, they have Aaron Jones. So they have the top 2 rushers from each team. Could be a pretty easy challenge and then have some kind of wild card. But for receivers, they didn't really have that many of players that are actually on the teams, because like Tanya and Watkins are going to be 2 of the top ones. And then all the Bears guys besides Mooney basically don't have a moment either. So it would be hard to do a receiving challenge in that one. So it could be either rushing or touchdown scores for that. And then I might anticipate that the Chargers-Chiefs would be the receiving challenge for Thursday night. And if we look at those players, we're going to look at these players that actually are on the team. So McKinnon here, $15. He could always break off a long catch. And then you got McCole Hardman's just $19, fairly cheap. Keenan Allen's not supposed to play, but he's just $23. And the next one we have here is CEH, $39. Palmer all the way up to $40. This one went insanely off. I think I bought this one for $12 in the offseason. It's up to $40. He's supposed to play now with Keenan Allen out. Austin Eckler is $60. And then hopefully Mike Williams won't hit, because I think he only has a rare, and then he'd be kind of screwed for this in receiving. So I don't know if they're taking that into account, that Williams is obviously going to be a huge bottleneck, and his is all the way up to $210. So there's a lot of ways they can go. I don't know if they're looking at that and thinking like, oh, it's probably obviously going to bottleneck if we do receiving yards. Maybe we should do touchdowns. Maybe we should do rushing for that. So there's just so many options that they can go, but I think that's what they're going to do for the 3-day and game specific challenges. Again, is do touchdown scores, receiving yards, and rushing yards, because passing yards, obviously, it's just going to be 2 quarterbacks, 2 players. So that wouldn't be a very fun challenge, to be honest. But then they could throw in some wild card in there as well. So for the last game, Monday night, there's actually 2 Monday night games. So I anticipate that they could combine both of these into one challenge. So Titans, Bills, Vikings, Eagles. For this one, they could really do anything. They could do top rushers, they could do top receivers, and maybe touchdown scores could be too many players. So I would think either rushing or receiving. I guess they could even go top touchdown or top passers, because there is going to be 4 quarterbacks in here, but that would be kind of a weird challenge again. So looking at running back, receiver, tight ends in this game, we got Boston Scott, who actually did surprisingly well, and just $9 could be a kind of sneaky pickup there if Sanders is limited or something again. And then Singletary, pretty cheap, but he does have 2 commons here. I mean, he's basically at the floor, $9. So that could be an interesting one to pick up. Wow, Singletary has 3 commons. I didn't know that. That's a ton, so hopefully he doesn't get a common in Series 2. KJ Osborne could be a wild card. He's just $13, pretty cheap. Gainwell, 15. So these ones are a lot cheaper that we're seeing than the previous guys that we mentioned for the other games and challenges. So this one could be a pretty good one to load up on in this game. But then again, it's not as likely they're going to hit because there is 2 games in this. But these ones are definitely looking cheaper here. So for me, if we come back to the playbook, we're guaranteed 40 yards as long as we check in. To get to the next one, you need to complete 2 challenges. The ones I would be looking at based on what we just saw is the end of week challenge. And then I'm also going to be hoping to complete the Monday night challenge, because there's 2 games and I have a lot of those moments and they're looking pretty cheap right now, so you could scoop up more of these and anticipating this challenge as well. And it's probably less likely that there's going to be bottlenecks in this one, so I do like the Monday night challenge at the end of week if I'm just targeting 2 challenges for this week. So the last thing before we wrap this up is it does tell you what these packs contain: 2 moments, 1 common base, 1 common base or common special, but we don't know like what the player pool is really for these packs unless I'm missing it from the blog. Let's check out the blog. So it does say for week 1 these playbook packs will feature epic highlights from the series 1, but you don't really know your chances in what you're going to pull in this one, in these packs. And then they're obviously going to be releasing playbook packs from moments from series 1 and series 2. All right, so definitely stoked for this week's challenge. It was really fun in week 1. Playbook has shot the market way up, and a ton of these moments are going crazy, including A.J. Brown. We were looking at $17 average sale. Now it's $43. So it's really a seller's market unless you're doing these challenges. But awesome to see NFL All Day is doing great. If you enjoyed this one, definitely subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you guys in another video.